what I remember happening was several conversations of, I don't know how I'm going to go back to school, where we're going to get the money from. And I said to him, God will provide. That's all I said. And I don't remember how many years I said it. But God did. He provided a situation where he was able to go to school and all he owed was a penny.
Not even.
Not even the penny?
Nope.
It was something like that.
Matter of fact, if I wanted to go for graduation, that would have been the only thing I would have had to pay for out of pocket. Like everything was covered.
Everything
Books,
was covered.
iPad, laptop, everything was covered.
Yeah, so that allowed for him to advance.
Yep.
But even going back to school and everything, he still had to find what
I was passionate
plan, like what were we really going to do. And during that time, I had just, I was a teacher, and I had decided I would stay home because we decided we wanted to build a family. That was a part of building one of, the life that we love, which we have 3 beautiful children. And after having children, I really didn't know what I really wanted to do because my original plans as well changed.
Yep.
And I'm not a person who believes in wasting money on all these degrees to look like a thermometer and not use them. So that's not me. So long story short, within the last, I say almost like the last
few years,
5 years or so, about 5 years, we shifted. We came to a place where not even that we got more focused, but we got more intentional.
Strategic,
not only with what we were building for us, but when we're talking about building a life that we love, it included our whole family.
Legacy.
Yeah, for legacy.
Sure.
And that's been a big deal. So the crazy part about it was we were doing things at different points. There was a leg of the journey. He was doing things that I didn't even understand, whatever that he was doing, or how it would play in. But God was definitely leading him in the thing that he was doing. And then later on came me leaping out into something that scared the crap out of me, really. And we began to build this brand.
And the brand, as she was talking about with legacy, the brand extends beyond just the initial her and I. It's it's all inclusive. So it's really a family oriented brand. But the desire of our hearts was to be able to have the flexibility that we want to be able to enjoy our family, before we retire, as it were.
Yes. And one of the things that we established early on in our relationship, and this was even like when I was dating him, that was established like before I was like, giving was a huge part of what I know would be, would create a success in the midst of our lives. Putting God first, making sure that he is the top of everything that we do. Sure. And this is important. I know everybody doesn't always think this is important, but for us, what played in as well was we give back and we also serve in our local church. And we were not willing to put anything that we were working on or doing in place of that. It was not to be in competition. It was to all flow together. So we actually, thank God for the church that we go to. We're actually Eagles Nest. Shout out to y'all. We were able to, shout out. Why not? Hey. Yeah, they've helped us a lot, whether it was marriage or anything. Yeah, we really wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't even for our spiritual parents.
And keep in mind,
Pastor Richie and Pastor
every church is not like that. So we're not saying
it's not.
This is not saying that your church is or is not. But we're saying you need to be wise with the people that you have in your corner and the people that you allow to expose yourself to. Yes. Because everybody doesn't have your best intentions. No. Regardless of the position that they may find themselves in.
Yeah. And we just got really blessed because we have spiritual parents in our life, and they've had an instrumental hand in the huge things and huge obstacles that have happened in the midst of our marriage or even in the midst of our life. And so God really had our back from the beginning.
Building with you is like building with my best friend. It's rough, it's fun, it's it is chaotic sometimes, but when the finished product comes out, man, we sit back and just be like, where did that come from? Who is those people? How did we get here? And really, we don't. One of the things I think we don't do is compare our marriage to other people's. I think we live within who we are, and we take certain things from other people, and we've learned, because I didn't have growing up, I didn't have a full depiction of what marriage looked like in my family, and you had that, but it wasn't perfect.
It wasn't perfect.
So, it wasn't perfect. So, we're just two people trying to build a new life and to, trying to break some generational curses and break down those walls of, your marriage can't work because you're, living in separate states, or your job causes you to travel for this amount of time. And, it can work. You just got to you have to make it work. Like, you have to be intentional. And that's something we always talk about, right before I leave. All right, babe, we got to be intentional about our conversation. What are we going to do? How are we going to continue to build? Because idle time is nothing but the devil's playground. And so if we don't give each other the necessary attention that we deserve, then other people can step in and steal that. And a lot of times that's what happens in marriages. Other, outsiders come in and they fill voids that you just ignored or you weren't willing to even acknowledge. And so that's how we've learned. That's how we've, kind of gone through this process. And I think it's just a beautiful, unconventional, thing. And we just wear that, it's our badge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. And the other beautiful thing is that we get to invite people into that, whether they have a traditional marriage or not. We can go from both ends because we were friends before we became anything. So the foundation is there, and we can relate on both ends. I empathize with people automatically, but I think that's what's beautiful is not only are we building and seeing each other build as we continue to build, but we invite others to build with us. And that's where, building with the Browns comes from. That's where Built to Last Marriages was birthed from. It's, the mistakes and the things that we've experienced and seen or did not see, those good examples. We want to become that. Like, we're trying to be that, and it's just naturally in us, not saying we're perfect by far, but what we have is truly genuine and it's authentic. And I mean, that's the best thing you could ever build, is something lasting. Right?
Really defining what success is for us. I think everyone wants success. Everyone desires it. And everyone would say, I want to have a successful marriage or job, or want to be a successful parent. Now, we might choose to use different words, but whatever winning is, like, that's success. But I think it's very easy to intuit that you want it, but not name what that is. So you end up chasing versions of success as a couple, or as a dad or a mom, or a pastor or business owner, or whatever it is. You end up chasing versions of success that you've never named. And so you don't even know what game you're playing. So therefore you're not sure if you're winning or losing, but you're really running hard. So that's the other thing that we've done, is continued to define success. And there's sort of a sense in which I'm not sure how that happens. I mean, there's your values and all of that, but it's more of a habit than a destination, I think, to keep defining and refining what that means now, and what God's calling you to as a couple.
The core of that for both of us is our relationship with Jesus. So, that is primary for both of us, because we know that pouring into one another or supporting each other or trying to build something here it's only going to go so far if we're not being filled up by Jesus. And he is the great provider, and he's the one that's going to be able to meet our needs ultimately, so that, we're not necessarily going to each other as the source of our greatest needs. We go to him for that, and, so can support one another as he's shepherding us, pouring into other people what's been poured into us by people who've gone before us. So discipling other men and women. So we may not be specifically doing that in groups together, but doing it alongside each other and being able to support each other in that too. So I think being able to pursue that primary relationship and know that that is our source for what we truly need, because all the other things, have been amazing and have contributed greatly, but only because the hand of God has used those things, and he's led us, I think, just through wisdom and discernment to understand that those are all really important ways that we, in particular, because of how we're made and who we are and our personal relationship dynamic, are ways that it really helps us build our marriage and our connection and what he desires to do through us together. So we talk a lot about dreams and goals. Like, that's something that matters to both of us, making our life count, being intentional with the time and the resources and the gifts we've been given. Damein mentioned stewardship. So just stewardship of all that we feel that God has entrusted us to. And so talking and dreaming together about desires, things God's put on our heart, and also like the nitty gritty of like, okay, where are we at right now, or this month, or this quarter, or this year, and what are goals that we have, and really being able to help support each other in pursuing those things has been pretty awesome to see all the things that the Lord has done in just the short time. It feels like a short time that we've been married, but it has been over a decade. But it is pretty amazing when I reflect on all the things that he's done, that I really believe in large part have come just from the intentionality of planning things out and trusting his timing and, bringing those things to fruition. So
sounds like Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
You have couples out there that would disrespect. Like I tell my nephew a couple times when I've talked to him, I'm like, listen, you have guys out there that would treat their baby mama like crap, but for the homies, they ride or die. And I'm like, your woman should be both. Like, they should be your homie and your baby mom and your ride or die. Like, I don't understand that backwards logic that y'all got going on. I'll die for my homies, but won't live with my baby mama. Like, that's crazy. So I'm like, consolidate that, make that one person. And I'm not sitting here saying I get it right all the time. There's still things, even to this day, that I'm still working on. Like, for me now, is time management, because I really still haven't gotten that down. I'm overworking and want to have more time for us, not just for the family, but for us.
One major thing that we do is, I guess you could call it investing in our marriage, right? Is we have like, marriage retreats, and like Jason and I, we talk about this quite a bit. But people think that something has to be wrong in order for them to like attend a marriage retreat or something. Like, no, it's built to help your marriage like stay strong, like have a strong marriage. And they teach us this from our church. They teach us so many things, and we're gonna be heading into 15 years, and you can think that or say that we know a whole lot. We really don't know a whole lot about. We're still learning, like Jason said, we're still learning about each other. And every time we go to a retreat, we learn something new. We learn how to get closer as a couple and closer as friends, and that's something that strengthens our marriage, and we really enjoy it. And before COVID, date night, we purposely planned date night every month. But even though we really haven't had a date night in a while, we can't really go anywhere right now, but we can have a date night here. I can just call up my grandparents, call up my parents or Jason's mom, and have them take the kids, and we can have a date right here at the house. So there's a lot of things we can do.
Yeah, it's about being proactive versus reactive. And I think, like she mentioned with the marriage retreats and marriage counseling, a lot of people look at it as, oh, we're doomed. What's our last resort? Marriage counseling. No, I mean, do it when things are good so it can get better. things like that. And then also, I think another thing is making sure our kids see that we love each other, because they're watching everything and they're going to grow up and they're going to be like, oh, this is what relationships are about. I guess I need to look for this. And so we want to make sure that they're looking at the right thing before they leave this house and try to start their own family and stuff like that.
There was the other night you said something. We were all in here, and I think you said something like, "Your mom is fly," or "Your mom is hot," or something like that. Oh, yeah. And they all just looked at us like we had two heads. It was so funny. And I don't know. I just love that, because we're not embarrassed to say stuff like that in front of our kids. Like, they need to see that, or they need to hear that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important too.
How many kids you want? That was before we were dating. I remember we were at Starbucks in Boston, and you were like 3. I was like, oh, me too.
That was a group of us discussing. It wasn't just the two of us.
I think so. I just remember you. I just had ice for you. Wah, wah, wah. Just kidding. So anyways, I do just remember you. Oh, Rachel was there too. So yeah, so, doesn't matter. We knew there were similar things going into the marriage. And you never really know till you have kids, but 9 months after marriage, I was pregnant with Alexis.
You're pregnant, yeah.
And so that's our oldest daughter, who's now 11. And so we were at a place, though, where I was in between trying to figure out what I was going to do next with my life. Mm-hmm. So I had literally just started nursing school because I was going back to school for another degree. And I found out I was pregnant. So, beginning was a struggle, because really the biggest part was a financial struggle, because we're paying my student loans for school, we're paying his student loans for school, and here I am starting college. Yeah. So it's like 3 tuitions, and then I just found out I was pregnant, which we had said about a year. And so the beginning was rocky financially. Our relationship was great. We had spent so much time dating, but the financial hardships was hard and stressful on our marriage. Mm-hmm. And so it was, I was working at the time. I was going to school during the day. I had an infant at one point, and I was working 7-hour to 12-hour shifts overnight. Mm-hmm. And then you at the time?
I was working afternoons,
mm-hmm.
Teaching
mm-hmm.
music.
And at one point, basically for 2 teachers.
Yeah, two different teachers mm-hmm. taught some separately. I had, mm-hmm. I had started my own thing as well.
And so you were gigging.
And oh yeah, that's right. And I was gigging weekends, several nights a week.
Yeah. So we were little hustling.
Baby.
Yeah.
Little baby.
We were hustling. So I think that season of our life revealed to us that there was a lot we needed to do to get into a better place financially. So we ended up moving out of our place mm-hmm. to get the extra support, and we moved in with my parents. Mm-hmm. So that helped take some financial burden off of us, so I could try to finish school and pay off school and get the support with our daughter.
Yeah.
So we had some childcare.
Yeah, and that helped a lot. And then we made a decision. I think Alex was almost 3 when we made the decision that I get another job. And I actually ended up getting 2 other jobs.
So you were working
like 4 jobs.
4 jobs. And then now we've got a daughter who's almost 3. And at this point now we have a son who's now 8, Jaden, and he was an infant. So now we got 2 kids. Jamie's working 3 jobs. I'm working 2 jobs. And so it was rough, and still trying to finish school.
And still volunteering.
Holding
responsibilities at the church.
Yeah, we were full, volunteers where we served every Sunday at a church. So anyways, going forward, the biggest thing for us was the financial. I think that's the part that kind of put some stress on our marriage, and life was moving fast. Mm-hmm. And so we weren't taking a lot of time more on us. Now we're taking time on our situation.
Yeah.
And so then forwarding a little bit more, a few years later, I was finished on my prereqs which took a couple years, and I was ready to start nursing school, which was be about 1.5 years at that point that I had left. And I found out that I got accepted to the school, and then the next day I found out I was pregnant. And I remember having to make the decision.
Your third pregnancy.
Third pregnancy. Am I gonna go with school? And you're like, oh, you can do it. You did it with Alexis. And I just had the sense that I shouldn't go forward with school because I was concerned that the other pregnancies were a little higher risk, and I ended up on bed rest, that I would end up on bed rest again. And I wasn't sure. I just had that feeling of, hold off, which I'm glad we did because
you did end up.
I did up on bed rest, ended up on 3 months hospital bed rest, and I was pregnant with twins.
So you know how you argue, right? Y'all are married couples out there. So you know how you argue, and then all of a sudden, like your little crazy self start missing each other, and it's like,
and you're hungry.
Like, and you're hungry.
We didn't have a lot of money that
and
time.
We didn't have no food. We didn't have no food. Literally, we just looked at this mangled chicken on the floor. Have no food at all.
That's bad.
It was just
hungry.
bad. But anyways. But how we're building the life that we're building is based off of overcoming challenges with understanding that we have a foundation of a friendship and humor.
And I was gonna say, and on top of that, following God, because throughout our marriage, the thing that has been difficult but yet rewarding is the fact that when God speaks to us, we always move. And so we've gone through transition. Like within 3 years of being married, we moved from Houston.
No, we moved from Tulsa. We went from Tulsa to New York and Houston. From Houston.
We're talking about like being married.
Yeah.
So we moved from Houston to California, you know, because believing that this is what God told us to do. Yeah. I mean, left everything behind, family, friends, all my clothes, you know, we just came with one bag, one suitcase, one stroller, and a car seat, and we came to California, you know, and navigating through those difficult times, navigating through slim times, navigating through times of where you're like, I don't even know where my next, where the next grocery is gonna come from, and seeing God move and expand us together, but doing everything God's way. Has been how we've built where we are now and where we're going, you know, because doing it His way, we've never lost. I mean, you know what I mean? So
and doing it His way, and then also having fun. You know, we are a fun couple. Like we are a fun family. So we'll wake up and we'll have dance parties. You know, we were late to school the other day. We were late taking the kids to school the other day because we were all dancing and celebrating my wife's birthday. But we have fun. We crack jokes. We love one another. We love hard. And the life that we're building is the life that that doesn't require us to become somebody totally polar opposite from our purpose. We stay within our purpose. We stay within who God has called us to be. I have strengths. She has strengths. And one of the things I believe that now what we're doing is we're really beginning to notice each other's strengths and then also really begin to pour into each other in those strengths and really being able to support each other from those strengths as well. You know, Nova is an amazing researcher. You know, I used to think that, you know, as a man, you know what I'm saying, I'm supposed to know everything. I'm supposed to know everything. If you ask me a question, I know it. You know, I know the answer. You know, even if I'm lying, I know it, you know? And basically, so Nova is a researcher. So anytime she'll ask me a question, I'll be like, yeah, this is what it is or whatever. And then she pulls out that phone and starts going to Google and looking. I'm just like, and I'm sitting there like, and then, you know, just like, I'm supposed to know everything. But anyways, but she's a researcher. And one of the things that, you know, in my purpose and the things that God has called me to do individually is to be in to communicate. And I love the fact that she's able to help me research certain things and look into certain things for me and be able to get a great idea. Like, for instance, she loves facts. She loves truth. And so as she's researching, there's some things I'll ask her. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Or what did you research about this? What did they say about this? And as a result, she's just able to boom, 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 boom. I'm like, how do you know this? Wikipedia? I think it's going to be a new Wikipedia encyclopedia. But we love each other. So we love God. I guess that how we're building the life, we're building it off of number one, God's purpose and fulfilling God's whole purpose for our lives, and not just trying to say, oh, well, I went to school for this, so that's all I can do. No.
Nice.